Hello, universe. It is 8 o'clock on the dot. So what's that? 2020 hours? 2200 or something. Whatever. If you're in the military, it's 8 o'clock p.m. Everywhere else, it's 8 o'clock p.m. And that's on the 1st of February. So we've already had 20 hours of this month go by. Now 20 hours and 1 minute of this month go by that have been spectacular. Just thank God January's gone. Don't you know what I mean? I'm sure you do. Well, I don't know if you do know what I mean, because right now I'm let's see it. It's been 99. Oh, look at that. 100 minutes since I took 3 hits of acid. And it's been 10 minutes since I took 3 more. So I'm going to be pretty high on acid soon, which is good. Because I got high on acid last night and went to places that I needed to go. So tonight I'm not trying to revisit. Tonight I'm trying to get the fuck away from that. So listen to some music and go down the Akashic Record highway of non-consequence, since last night was one of such implied and direct consequence that it's dominated my thought structure for 36 hours. Something like that. But it's hard to do math when you're high on acid, so don't hold me accountable. But I'll be back when I'm not high on acid, and we'll talk more. Pause. Universe! Hello! Hello. It's 1, 2, 3, 4 here on 2525, which means if you're in America, it's 12:34 in the morning. The date is the 5th of February, and it's the 25th year since a guy named Christ was either born or put on a cross. I'm not sure which one of those years is designated, but since we've been around a lot longer than anything Christ had to say, well, the year is arbitrary. Hell, the month's probably arbitrary. But the time? 1, 2, 3, 4? Booyah! And since now it's 1, 2, 3, 5, well, how about the opening from 2 days ago that, let's just say it was more drug-induced than the one you just experienced, believe it or not. Pause. Balls. There aren't many times when I know I'm more spiritually advanced than most of the people listening. But there are times. Balls. All right, universe. I know there was at least 104 seconds of conversation, which I just deleted accidentally, which I'm very upset about, because lately I can only be so clever, at least on point, in a way that might be reciprocal to some undeserved audience that has built itself again, in spite of all my admonition that this is the worst thing to be doing with your time. There are 1,007 things I can think of right now, which means there's probably 7. But still, there's a lot of things I can think right now would be more fulfilling for your life than following whatever shit's going to spill out of my mouth in the next 20 to 38 minutes. I mean, what are you doing listening to me? I'm nothing. In fact, did I even hit record here? Pause. Pause. Duh. Of course I hit record, because how else would I capture the lackluster last minute of life, if not in perpetuity? Right? Am I right? Hell yeah, I'm right. I mean, at least from my point of view. Balls. Balls. Okay, I'll admit this is no time for me to be enwrapped in conspiracy theories, because, frankly, I thought I'd move past that. Not that you can move past that, because if you're smart, obviously the fuckery of the 20th century lingers. But are you kidding me? Like, I was looking to rename this file, and instead I'm recording again? Pause. Well, forget did I that I was so heavily influenced by acid on Saturday and into Sunday and well into Monday, and frankly probably into Tuesday, but not here on Wednesday, which now that we are 39 minutes into Wednesday, well, I feel like I'm at least clear-headed enough that I can come correct on some of the things that, frankly, those acid trips revealed to me. But, before I do that, I should really work out. Don't you think? I mean, I'm sure you do. So, all right, I'm going to do that. I'll be back. Pause. No, pause. All right, I know, thanks to my uncouth sense of podcast timeline fuckery, it could be anywhere from 4 seconds to 4 days to 4 months later than when we last paused. But for both our advantages, it's only been 13 minutes. That's good. And that's how long it took me to get into my workout outfit, which is pathetic. But I couldn't find my fucking socks, so, whatever. And so committed to working out I am still. But in that time, I thought, well, wait, I have all these things that I want to get to, and if I go work out, I will forget half of them. So maybe even for the listener's benefit for once, I could spell out what's coming and try to stick to it. Maybe? Should we try this for first time ever? Okay, here's the thing. I've been out in the public, which I know is dangerous, especially for Gen Z, but for us Gen Xers, it's kind of the only sustenance in life we have. Are other people with whom we connect in a way that says, yeah, man, your apathetic stance toward reality, it was okay. I mean, all those good movies came out when you were a teenager and into your 20s, so what were you going to do but become a passive idiot who just drank in reality in whatever form it was handed to you, which, of course, is a generalization and only describes probably me and 7 other Gen Xers, but it describes us pretty well. In the sense that, well, I'm still dripping in the sort of, well, dripping is a bad verb, but I'm awash in sentimentality for Gen Z, and even the Gen Z millennial overlap group. I'm fascinated with you. I find you to be perhaps the savior of humanity that is necessary to reset the system and bring us to our full flourishing sense of what it can be to be a Homo sapien, whatever we are. So we'll get to that. But I'm more fascinated by why it is so challenging to get anyone to answer this question without refusing to believe that such an outcome is even available. And that is, what would it take for you listening, to believe, to seriously take inside the concept that I think I might be the Messiah, like I might be the savior of humanity? Well, to say that this is a bridge almost no individual is willing to cross isn't even close. I mean, this is the kind of conversational topic that just shuts people down. What, me? Fuck no, man. Fuck no. I mean, goddamn, okay. I mean, yeah, man, no, not me. Nothing could convince me of that. Nothing. Really, nothing. Okay, so let's say from here forward, every time you walked past a bush, it just set itself aflame and said, "Hello, stranger, I'm God, and you keep ignoring me. Every bush you walk past, I have to light on fire, but you won't turn around and even have a conversation with me. I just don't get it. I mean, how tough can it be to talk to the Savior while I'm in this physical form, burning bush that I am? I mean, Moses fell for all this shit, but you, what's wrong with you?" Okay, admittedly, this isn't happening to anyone currently that I know of. But what if it were? Would you be able to deny even this signal? Well, 99 people out of 100, and since I've only asked about 7 people, I'm assuming that that's the percentage that's going to wash out here. But 99 people out of 100 would say, yeah, no, that's easy to dismiss because I just think I'm having an acid flashback or a hallucination or some delusional form of mind that leads me to think this self-importance, though I'm experiencing it over and over again, is simply some manifestation of the unfair treatment I got as a child or teenager, or lack of spelling bee wins I got as an elementary school kid. I don't even know what the deficiency is, but somewhere in there is a deficiency that even if nature came alive and spoke to you from the voice of God, well, yeah, but I mean, whatever. That's just my mind playing tricks on me. Okay. Well then, what would happen if on that same pedestrian walkway you had a co-pilot, say just some random dude who was 16 feet behind you, didn't know him at all, but just happened to be sauntering down the same pathway? Would their observation of your experience, your dramatic bush flaming, hello, I'm God trying to get a hold of you, why do you keep walking past me, moments, could their verification be enough to tip you over the scales to make you believe that something truly mystical or ethereal or God-given was happening to you? Well, what's odd is most people at this point say, oh, well, yeah, I mean, if somebody else was to see it, then yeah, it'd be a whole different story. Really? Well, since that's essentially what we're going to talk about, I'm going to go exercise. You're not going to experience anything other than a brief nanosecond break, and we're going to get back to this in about 19 nanoseconds. Pause. And before I go hit the Nordic track and the free weights, because when I say exercise, that's the pathetic 55-year-old exercise routine I follow. Before any of that is fully engaged, I want to say two things. One, there will be no discussion going further tonight about my comic book guardian angel, guardian infiltrator, whatever you want to call my teaching me lessons of great value and import in the most convoluted way possible. Sub-character of my narrative could be somebody like, I'm going to say, Sally Field, maybe in Forrest Gump, that level. Her presence is now, well, for this episode, no more. But I do have that whole thing wrapped up. Like, I'm ready to tell the complete story. I just need to spit it all out in one chunk. So I probably need a bottle of vodka and maybe some orange juice to get that done. However, that's not why I signed back on. Why I signed back on is, if you are 50 plus in age, in years, earthling years, meaning that at some point in this great grand run of time, you've spent roughly 18,000 or 19,000 days on this planet. Well, here's where the human body starts to have trouble. And I say this because in October, when I broke my collarbone, well, shattered my collarbone, and then had to recover from that, and then in January suffered a setback injury from that actual recovery, well, I learned one thing. And I learned it, hopefully, for the last time, but knowing me, I'll need to learn this again and again. But there's no powering through your injuries once you're past 50. I mean, at least in the kind of shape that I'm in, which is decent shape. After having ignored my physical body for 15 years, I finally got myself back in rather robust shape. But the injuries occurred while I was in rather robust shape. So I'm going to say, after 50, even in rather robust shape, if you hurt yourself, well, take time off. Heal. Actually, let yourself recover. Do not consider that time that you're turning into a jelly donut. Do not consider that time that you're losing pace on the athletic ascension you were already enjoying. Rather, understand that by 50, your body has wear and tear. Like, it has persistent nagging injuries. It has chronic pain. It has whatever you did to yourself at 26 when you accidentally fell down that hillside and really strained the back muscles to the point you should have gone to the doctor but didn't, and have been dealing with that recovery ever since, or whatever your particular situation is. Well, if you will let yourself heal and then go back to it, you'd be shocked how much you start right where you left off. However, if, like you're 22, you try to power right through every injury and just figure, well, I'll heal myself by working that much harder. Well, those chronic pains, those persistent injuries, the long ago ways that you abused yourself physically, well, they resurface and they nag and they get worse. And they don't allow you to just power through your injuries. So, for everybody 50 or older, in case you haven't learned this lesson, when you get hurt, heal, then go back to it. Like I'm about to. Pause. Pause. Well, this time, the time fuckery that occurred in the nanosecond that you were enduring as I came back here on the 20,313th day of my planet Earth journey, meaning February 9th, of the year 2025. I mean, it's not that year, but that's the year we call it. This little escapade has gone off the rails in the first bit here, I know. But let's blame all that early shit on the acid, okay? And I haven't done acid since. I'm taking the entire month of February off from here forward, and probably most of March until the 29th, in which case I will be riding the A train. Oh yeah, riding it again, riding it big time. And if I know myself, probably disappointed that I decided to do that on that day, but I owe it to my true guardian angel that I make every effort I can to see her in the ethereal realm. And I know that's the day that she'll be available. So on that day, well, off into the land of magical gifts of goddamn karmic return will I go to find Lily, who I'm sure is suffering some of the most karmic kickback a life can endure, given how she played out her battle with delusional schizophrenia in the last 6 years of her life that I knew her. But we certainly did not get on to talk about Lily. In fact, this level of distraction is something I want to apologize for. Obviously, I owe this apology in every episode multiple times, and since I've never made this apology, probably it's overdue. But I don't mean to just wander off on sidetracks that I have no intention of following. They're just little baubles of interest to me in the moment. Except that's kind of why I'm doing this. And of course why I'm doing this is absurd. No one here gives a shit, nor does my explanation do anything to make you give more of a shit. But this project is personal. It's not about anything other than documentation of the human journey that my soul took. And in this vocal expression that physical 3D reality permits, as well as the energetic distribution our projection and engagement create, it will reverberate throughout time and history, at least in this pathway that is the one I'm participating within. I'm saying there are at least multiple other instances of existence, whether they're concurrent or previous or future, I do not know. I just know that this is a limited scale scope of one shot of what your soul energy actually is capable of. And whatever you're participating in this round is something that you deliberately chose to do. You are here for a reason. This is not a coincidental time on which to be found in the midst of planet Earth's turmoil. But none of that did I even get on to talk about. So where did this apology go? Totally the wrong direction. But still, I'm sorry. It's just, I'm fucking interested in everything. Literally everything. I can be interested in someone talking to me about cross-stitch. I can be interested in someone talking to me about playing the steel guitar. I can be interested in someone talking to me about why they collect Air Jordans. I think. I'd have to work at that one. But I'd work at it. And I think if you're not willing to put your time in on being interested in what other people find interesting, you're missing the point. You don't get to flourish in life without taking a genuine interest in the people around you and the ones that you randomly interact with as well as intentionally interact with. Your genuine level of desire to understand another person's journey here on Earth, it's why you came. But in this age of phones and apps and all the follies they create in terms of homogenizing us into distinctly similar groups of people who think very similar thoughts and have limited estimation of what it is to lead a fulfilling life because of the options shown to them that say fulfillment will be contained within. There aren't many out there, and the ones that are out there, like professional athlete maybe, or famous actress, or best poker player in the world, or I don't know what you want, but what about able to be a stay-at-home mom and have 4 kids minimum, maybe 7? I don't know. That doesn't seem like anybody's dream that I'm running into lately. And that's fine. I mean, the empowerment of women to become whatever level of societal achievement, integration / career opportunity / love development / world travel / bank account growth, whatever a woman today wants to find and measure as a status point for her own success, she's capable of doing it. And since that hasn't been true throughout my entire lifetime, I'm very happy to see these opportunities arise. But even with these opportunities in play, I'm still not finding people who are optimistic about themselves or about the world, or who feel fulfilled in the journey they're currently on. There are moments of fulfillment that people are experiencing. There are times of growth and impact that I think people are experiencing. But to say people look fulfilled or report in any even small indicative manner that they are fulfilled, I'm trying to literally think of one, and I don't have one. Oh no, I do. As a matter of fact, I have a very good example of someone who has decided that the only way life really deserves to be lived is in the way that you are so much who you are that you have no regrets ever about how you go to bed or the way you wake up. Because nothing would you have changed about yesterday, no matter what it did, how it went down, or the way it worked out. If you are who you are, well, that's all you had to be. And it just makes life rhythm start falling your way. And I have watched this person literally for 2 or 3 weeks now go on random, we'll call them side quests, and all of them come back completely fulfilled. I'm truly shocked. Like, at some point the streak's got to break. But this current upswing of both karma and fortune is earned. It hasn't come easily, and it involved challenges that forced a level of withdrawal of ego and circumstance to realize two things. One, if I want a better life, I'm going to have to do some things to get it. And if this is the life that I'm going to accept, then I have no other action to be accepting of than that I was always exactly who I am. And bam! What do you know? Shit in her life, all of a sudden, looking good. I mean, looking great, to be honest. And mostly because she's finding purpose and fulfillment, and the rewards coming back at her are meaningful and of wide variety. It's peppering from everywhere. So that's the kind of thing you can do when you start believing in yourself. Start turning your own reality into something not just good, but glorious. And I mean completely believing in yourself, knowing that everything about yourself is lovable. Even your cranky conversational mistakes. It doesn't matter what you do wrong, so long as you're doing everything you can to be you and improving yourself as you go. You make conversational mistakes, figure it out, and do better the next time. And be humble in the moment that you're not as smart or as clever or as well-spoken as you think you are. And if that mirror would go just a little more left, I could see myself exactly. There we go. Good. Pause. All right, unpause. In my true tradition of both stumbling over the word tradition and not being able to properly apologize for my wandering, well, I wandered into territory. I don't even really know what I was talking about. So, back on point. I told you I would talk to you about this thing about how people will move from believing that something mystical is happening when they are the sole participant in the mystical occurrence versus how much belief they can have if they have someone who also witnesses this mystical occurrence. In other words, if some level of God manifestation entered your life and you happen to be surrounded by 35 of your better friends at your birthday party, and they all see this beam of light shining down as some glorious trumpets announce that you're the Messiah. And as you physically morph into some toga-wearing, bearded man of yore, or whatever you would do at that point, I'm not really sure what happens then, but if this is the kind of thing that happens just to you, well, I still don't understand why that's not enough for you to go forward and think, yeah, okay, I guess this is where I'm at. Because, well, there are just cues in life that, again, I think once you start to journey in a place that you know your destiny is pointing, and there are road signs that will keep arriving to build more and more confidence that you're on the right track. And a lot of this will be in the things you ask of the universe and how much of that gets returned and how quickly. And by this, I mean, let's say you say to yourself, I really am tired of the setup of my backyard, and this is the year I need to get cracking on doing some work back there. And then in 10 days, you happen to walk past some greenhouse or some nursery, and they're doing plants today only 3 for 1. And you go in and you now have all of the momentum to get everything done in the backyard that you needed, because this will jumpstart the event. And I know that sounds like it couldn't possibly be the universe in action, but these are the ways that lives led with intentional momentum toward fulfillment and destiny just start occurring, which is why I also talk about the detours that life throws at you most of which I assume are established as life hurdles we will endure before we even arrive, that those points of differentiation are here to teach you completely other thoughts about what it means to be in the conscious space of an individual meat suit. Every other, well, not life manifestation, but every other energetic manifestation, you have no individuality. You are the energy that you are, but you are completely tied into the energetic flow of everything else. So it's not like you can hide or pretend to be anything. You're integrated. You're fully embraced and revealed at the same time. So when you're in this position, none of that's true. You are alone. You are thinking stupid thoughts about yourself. You are questioning yourself in every possible way. You're always thinking that the people around you are giving you a signal that they're probably not. There are just so many ways that being locked into the meat suit puts you in chaotic conditions. And so I just wish that rather than this lead to people believing that they have no potential ever to come to a conclusion that they're the Messiah. Well, I don't expect that anybody listening, nor of course myself, nor anybody I know, is going to experience some level of epiphany where they believe God is literally communicating with them that it's time to get on the stick because you've been the Messiah for about 1.5 years now, you've just been ignoring me, so you're a little behind. And that's a circumstance I can't even necessarily believe. I think the whole idea that we're looking for a savior is terrible. Because what do we need to save? We're the humans. We just need to work it out. And so the idea that the Messiah even exists, to me, is problematic. But that doesn't mean that I don't want the one, should he exist or she manifest in some angelic capacity, not to recognize that they're here to literally lead us into a better place. That would be tragic. So I'll at least ponder the possibility. I'll give it thought and I'll give it encouragement, and I'll see if I can't, in the process, help people have a little more confidence that maybe they are destined for a great life. Okay, maybe it doesn't have to be messianic. Maybe it just has to be great, fulfilling, and purposeful. Well, it seems like that these days, hell, that's almost like being a Messiah around here. Unpause. Sorry. I probably should have quit right there, but I forgot 2 things that I said I was going to continue as a little deeper dive into certain concerns. And one is GenZeez current predicaments, and the one that I labeled them with as the generation that just looks like it's going to have the hardest time of all. Well, I think that locked in now to my view of them is the idea that, yeah, but they may actually be the ones to save humanity's soul. That could be them. And if not, it's definitely going to be their kids. But it's one or the other. And so with that in mind, I feel like I really have to step back a little bit here, remember to put my phone down so that GenZeez, well, no, I'll pick my phone up so I can talk to GenZeez. But whatever app I'm going to have to communicate with them through, which obviously the only chance they have is to catch me in this format of self-annihilation through conversation soliloquy. Well, if they would just understand that I don't hate them, nor do I think they're incompetent, nor do I think in any way that they are the victims they can pretend to be. I think they are extraordinarily capable, gifted, and destined for greatness. But we have stripped some of that from them by putting the greatest experiment of all time on them. Essentially, they've never been in a world that didn't have smartphones and the internet. And for that, I feel bad for them. That's so undeserved. But because of that, and because I'm not that guy, I did have a lot of time without those. We don't get along. We just don't relate. We don't connect. We're not bosom buddies because we don't even have bosoms. We're just two sailing ships that are in different oceans thinking, well, at least I don't have to plug in my phone, because where would I plug in my phone out here? There's no electricity, right? I mean, that's just never going to be something that I can connect on. But I can connect on this, and that is Gen Z is a generation who has access to teach themselves everything because they have the ability to connect with every single other person in the world. Now, I don't think teaching yourself everything involves Googling shit, but I do think it involves being able to access the entire expertise of humanity, its intellectual heft at a global scale, its accomplishment and solutions to any problem solved anywhere. Well, we can connect now for the first time ever to all of that. But that hasn't been harnessed in a way that is productive yet. And that's why I think Gen Z could save the universe. They could figure this out, that what's happened to them is the most abusive form the internet could take. And so let's fix it and make it what it could be, which is the global level of connectivity and information gathering, sharing, and distribution that gives us all the opportunity to see humanity at its best. So, and that's why I say if they don't do it, their kids will. Because it may be that they just have to burn out and fucking go down in flames and have children that watch it happen so that the children see what has to be done. But that is what I think, unfortunately, Gen Z got saddled with, is a technological burden of which no one was prepared. And the outcomes will be harsh. But I'm not saying it's not that bottoming out that needs to happen before you can fully realize why you're here and what you're supposed to be doing. It might be. So, what I do like about Gen Z is that they have, for the first time ever, the concept of world information access. And they don't have it as a concept. They actually have it. It just needs to be crafted and restructured in a way that it's truly the freedom of expression and investigation that leads to all of us gaining immeasurably in what it looks like to have a world connected for the better. So I hope they figure that out, because Gen X, like we'd figure anything like that out. Shit, man, we can barely get our phones charged. And that's because we're out on boats doing shit like fishing. Like a Gen Z person goes fishing. I mean, I know some of you do. I know. But most of you think, fishing? Fuck that. No way. Is there internet out there? Fuck that. And, okay, it's like, I would imagine none of you like flying kites. I mean, some of you do. I get it. But on the whole, how many Gen Zers do you see in the park flying kites? And this is fine. Who wants to fly a kite anyway? It's fucking windy, getting all fucked up. The kite won't get off the ground, and then you let go of the string. Now you got to go chase it down. It's in that creek, and you get muddy. And I mean, it's just, flying a kite sounds stupid until you do it. And then you're like, okay, it's not as horrible as I thought it would be, because the smartphone in my left hand and the kite in my right hand, I'm still good. And so that's why I recommend you start with something like flying a kite, because you don't even have to put your phone down. But if you really want to find some purpose, Gen Z, you got to go out and meet other people. And you got to do it in a way that isn't via apps. It's not the space on which reality truly exists. I understand that your reality does live there. But what you probably don't understand is that you're missing an entire reality that doesn't live there and doesn't need to live there. And in fact, is so much more stimulating than what does live there. If you can tap into it, you might just solve why you feel so lost and without purpose in your life today. It's just a recommendation, not one I expect you to follow, nor one that necessarily you even need to listen to. But if you just can file that away in your cabinet for a decade from now and think, maybe I should go outside. Just give yourself a random check-in now and again to see if you're getting enough interaction with humanity on the face-to-face. Otherwise, go and force that in a way that makes you get to know what value there is in just having conversation with random people. Be interested, be interesting, listen, and share who you really are, and watch how well it works out. In fact, what I'm going to do in the next episode is talk about all the poor conversationalists I'm hearing around me and the lack of actual depth in sharing that I hear between lots of people. And I don't accept boring conversation, nor do I accept any level of one-on-one or one-on-17 exchange that isn't dynamic and with great intent to have as much dialogue of purpose as we can have. Now, that sometimes means none, but it doesn't do that very often. So I think because of what's happened in the 21st century, which is essentially we've separated into isolated bubbles of contact with people we know only, it's gotten to the point people are not very good at random conversation. So I thought, well, I'll give you some ideas as to why that is, and then maybe one of those will resonate. And maybe I'll be full of shit and just talking in a way that is anachronistic. But I hope not. And since I used the word anachronistic, I might as well go to the thing people might not like about me. Well, I'm using every episode until I go through this list of lots of things. How many? I think there's 17 of them, and we've done one. So I will say I tend to use what are SAT words. And yeah, I do. Anachronistic is an SAT word. I agree. And yet it's exactly the word I meant. And it's the only word I could use there that means what it means. So one of the best parts of language is it does occasionally allow you to say exactly what you mean. So when I reach for a word like vacuous or clandestine or pedestrian, it's because I think at that particular juncture, that word is the actual exact word that I mean. Or else I would just use, well, I can't remember what the three words were, but pedestrian, for instance, I would just use routine or boring or regular. But if it actually is that unique sense of something that is walking on 2 feet, well then, of course I'll throw pedestrian at you. My point is, I don't use big words to sound anything other than directly accurate about what I'm trying to convey. And I don't mean for anyone to ever feel that this conversation can't be had at a level of dialogue that includes nothing but Dick and Jane level words. But for that to be truly effective, I need to be in the room with you. And since I'm not in the room with you, well, the one thing I can give you is as much dialogue accuracy as I can convey in a format in which I'm the only one accountable. And in that way, I figure when you hear me use a word that might sound a little inflated, well, it's not done with any intent other than to make sure if I speak again, I would use exactly the same word because I said exactly what I meant. And I think if you can embrace the idea that language is here to give you and your thoughts the sort of outward expression that allows other people to relate to you, well, to me, I just thought I should know as many words as I can because I sure do have some crazy ass thoughts.